Welcome back. J.P.s World of Wrestling. I'm your man, J.P. So, what are we doing today? Well, like I said, we're going to be taking a little closer look at some of my LJN, well, not my LJNs yet, but my Hasbro collection. And so today, we're taking a look at this guy, the Big Boss Man. That's right, the Big Boss Man, Ray Trailer, whatever you want to call him. Uh, this is a really good figure. I always like this figure. The only issue I ever had with this figure was that the head was a little bit too small, but that's not a big deal. But normally, he came with a nightstick. I don't have the nightstick. I bought all of these figures used and loose, so I don't have the accessories for any of them, but this is a really good figure. I mean, he's got that hand here that's good for chopping. He's got this fist here that you could punch. He did those Bossman uppercuts. And overall, it's just a really good figure, and I really like it. Now, the Bossman, I've said this before. I always thought that the Bossman was underrated as a wrestler because he just had, I don't know, something about him that it was just enjoyable to watch him. And I think it's just because his fighting style, his wrestling style, he was, convincing as a legit tough guy that was a prison guard. And he actually, at one point in his life, he actually really was a prison guard. And from Cobb County, Georgia. But he had some pretty decent matches. I mean, he had a feud with Hulk Hogan when he first came in to the WWF. Bossman, not Hogan, but when Bossman first came into the WWF, he was this big guy. And Hulk Hogan liked working with big guys. So they put him in a feud with Hulk Hogan. And then he started to be managed by Slick. And then they put him in a tag team with the one-man gang who later became Akeem, the African Dream. But they were a tag team and they had big matches with such teams as, the Rockers and the Mega Powers. Everybody remembers that famous match on the main event. It was the Twin Towers versus the Mega Powers. That's when the Mega Powers kind of split up, but Bossman was definitely part of that. But then Bossman turned babyface. Whenever uh, the $1 Million Man offered to buy the services of the Big Boss Man on the Brother Love show, and Heenan was getting ready to sell the Big Boss Man, say, yeah, sure, he's yours, he's your slave. But Boss Man didn't like that. He said, I'm not for sale. Nobody buys me. I'm my own man. So that's when he became a babyface. And then he started to pal around with guys like Hulk Hogan. I remember a particular event. I believe it was SummerSlam 1991. And Hulk Hogan's opponent for that event was Earthquake. Now, Hulk Hogan was originally going to have Tugboat in his corner for his match against Earthquake because Earthquake had Dino Bravo. This guy. But for whatever reason, maybe Tugboat was injured, maybe they hurt him or something, or maybe WWF was going to go with different plans for Tugboat, but Hulk Hogan needed somebody in his corner. That's where the Big Boss Man came in. Big Boss Man had his nightstick, and he was ready to go, and he sure did come through for the Hulkster on that event, because Hulkster won the match, and Big Boss Man was the guy that allowed it to happen. Because there were not going to be any shenanigans from Jimmy Hart or Dino Bravo. Because Big Boss Man was there to make sure. But maybe the Big Boss Man, I tell you, I really love this guy. this figure. Now, the second figure that came out of the Big Boss Man, I think was probably a little bit better, just because like an arm was kind of extended, and it would extend out like that, so we could close on, and the other arm was kind of like a fist like that, so you could do more. It was easier to do kind of the hard time slam the Big Boss Man did. He would bounce him off the ropes, then catch him, kind of a side bear hug, and then slam him down. That was called a hard time slam. But this is still a pretty good figure. This was probably, I think, probably the third actual Hasbro that I owned. Not this exact one, but this one was probably the third Hasbro that I owned. And I like it. Big Boss Man. So that's going to do it for this video. Do you have any specific memories with Big Boss Man you want to leave in the comments? Go ahead and do that. And if you're new here, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to it. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.